All right, I think we're live.
We're live. Oh my gosh.
Hey everyone.
Hello. How y'all doing?
Welcome to this Nano Prep webcast.
It's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be great. I'm really excited about it.
It's going to be fantastic because we were reading your comments before this started, and it's amazing. People are here from around the world.
Yeah.
And they want to write, and this is just it's filling me with energy.
Yeah, so, I know, me too.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm Catherine. I'm the communications manager for NaNoWriMo. You might have seen me on another video.
Yeah, and I'm Grant Faulkner. I'm the executive director here at NaNoWriMo. And I've been on a few videos as well and podcasts and other things. So welcome.
He's what keeps us running here.
Yeah, let's hope.
So I'm really excited. It's October now.
It's October. I think we've got about 2 weeks, roughly, a little bit more than 2 weeks, right? Is that right?
Yeah, something like that. Right? I don't know.
So
time kind of blurs
I was
together.
talking to someone today, and the key thing I told them is it's not too late.
That's
this
true.
is actually, for 2 weeks is plenty of time to plan your novel. And I did want to point out that our sponsor, Dropbox, is sponsoring this webcast, and you can find out a lot more about Dropbox Paper and their offer. Like, one good thing about their offer is it's free. And if you go to our sponsor offers page, which is under the inspiration tab on the website, it'll tell you more about all sponsor offers, but we're especially appreciative to Dropbox Paper for sponsoring this webcast. And if you haven't experienced Dropbox Paper, it's this really cool way to write in the cloud. So you have this degree of security that you're not going to lose your writing, and it's more than just a writing space. It's kind of a collaborative workspace too. So give it a what am I trying to say? Give it a try.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, and our former executive director, Chris Beatty, who wrote No Plot, No Problem, he also works there. So that is also good.
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna drop a link in the chat to
cool.
That sponsor.
Very wise.
Offer. So
yeah.
There you go.
But we're here to talk writing, and what should we do? Where are we
here? Get started.
What is a virtual writing, Catherine?
If some of you guys are new, and if you've never participated in a virtual write-in before, it's where we get together and talk about writing and also give you some writing prompts. So I know November hasn't started yet, so a lot of you probably aren't actually working on your novels yet, or maybe you're just thinking about ideas. Maybe you have no idea what you're going to write. So our prompts today are going to kind of be focused on getting yourself ready to write and sort of thinking about that process and developing kind of the tools that you'll need to help support you in November when everything gets really wild.
It's going to feel you through November.
Yeah.
Today's session. And even Blobby here. If you haven't met Blobby for the first time, this is our, our mascot, essentially. He attends every virtual write-in. He sits here generally quietly. Sometimes he makes some noises, but only we can hear those noises.
Yeah.
I thought, Catherine, should we kick off?
Yeah, let's go.
So
let's start into it.
This is a fantastic book, No Plot, No Problem. So some of you are worrying about plot. Just don't worry, it's no problem. You will find the plot during the writing of your rough draft in November. And what I think we're going to start today is reading a little bit of Chris Beatty's The Month-Long Novelist Agreement and Statement of Understanding. And it's a whole page long, so I'm not going to read the whole page, but we're going to do an exercise to, I think, when people think about preparing to write during November, they think a lot about outlining their novel and thinking about the characters and world building and stuff like that, which is all fantastic and very important. But I think what makes the people who succeed are the people who really develop the mindset to succeed, who really plan out their time and they really commit. And I think that this novelist agreement, I love doing it every year. And so I hope that you'll do it too. And it really is a contract with yourself. In fact, I'd recommend taping it up on the wall so you can see it every day. So here's the first paragraph, written by the very funny Chris Beatty. I hereby pledge my intent to write a 50,000-word novel in 1 month's time. By invoking an absurd month-long deadline on such an enormous undertaking, I understand that notions of craft, brilliance, and competency are to be chucked right out the window, where they will remain, ignored until they are retrieved for the editing process. I understand that I am a talented person capable of heroic acts of creativity, and I will give myself enough time over the course of the next month to allow my innate gifts to come to the surface, unmolested by self-doubt, self-criticism, and other acts of self-bullying.
All right.
Yeah. So we're going to do a 5-minute word sprint where you write your own writer's agreement. And so your writer's agreement can mirror Chris's here, or you can think about the obstacles that might hold you back in November and make a contract about how to get over them.
Yeah, so kind of think about the things that are really important for you to accomplish this November, and what you want to work towards and what you want to forgive yourself for.
I like that.
You know?
Forgiveness is part of successful noveling.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, should we do it?
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes here. So yeah, just write your own novelist agreement, and yeah, figure that out.
And then we'll share responses afterwards.
Yeah.
Including ours.
All right.
Maybe.
Probably.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. 5 minutes starts now. Got about 1 minute left. All right.
All right.
Time is up. In the chat, drop what you put in your writer agreement, or one of the things that was important for you, or that you really want to work towards this November. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I was reading comments before this started, somebody wrote, well, if Rainbow Rowell and John Green did it, so can we.
Mm-hmm.
So believe in yourself. You're as good as John Green and Rainbow Rowell.
Definitely.
Believe me.
Yeah.
Shall we check out chat?
Yeah. I saw that people were asking if Bloggy is an alligator or a turtle. And I think he's a dinosaur. I'm not sure. He's got a little tail. We can never quite figure it out.
He's a cross between a dinosaur and a puppy.
I love that.
With short arms. Yeah, I think he's a dinosaur.
Yeah. He's somebody said he's friend shaped, which I like that. He's
definitely.
friend-shaped.
Definitely. Wow, the roar! I see this. My chat's going crazy here.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
Jody Compton says, I vow to write at least 1,000. Okay, you hit 1,667 words a day. That is
Nice.
a good way to succeed. Thank you, Jody.
Midnight McKenna says, I pledge to write an ending, which I definitely hear that. I've definitely worked on novels multiple years, and I'm like, this year, it's going to happen. I'm going to finish the thing.
There's nothing so gratifying as making it.
Yeah.
Or just writing the ending. I can't keep up with these. These are rolling in.
I know. The chat.
I see writing every single day. Yes, commit to like being there, developing a routine.
Mm-hmm. Eliza Bridger says, take my writing seriously and guard my writing time.
That's true. I think one of the acknowledged keys to success is being able to say no to things and to really protect yourself.
Yeah.
I'm a person who says yes way too often. So,
Katie Did says, I will write every single day, rain or shine, no matter if I work that day or not. That's kind of what my agreement was too. It's just like, even if it's just one word, just to write something.
Oh, here's a good one. I pledge to write, not plan. It's true. Planning can become an obstacle sometimes.
Yep.
I've known people who've researched their novels for years. They're professional novel researchers.
Oh, wow.
Not writers. So writing is important.
Yeah. Here's
a good one too. Somebody said she will not compare her lack of experience to others' success. I'll be proud of the words I fill on a page or on a screen. That's actually one of mine as well. I think it's easy for us to get down on our novels or ideas.
Definitely.
And say that they're not worthwhile when they are.
I like this. Hawkins296 says, I, a future novelist, hereby pledge to write a novel that I will send into the world with a smile of pride on my face. That's great.
That's right.
Let's see. Yeah, not feeling guilty for taking the time to write. That's a big one too, because sometimes you're like, oh, I should be doing this or this. And
the whole premise of NaNoWriMo is do not feel guilty for a month.
Yeah.
Put creativity number one on your to-do list, because all too often in life it falls lower and lower on your to-do list or off the list entirely.
Yeah.
So all those shoulds in your life, just kind of keep them at bay. Yeah. I like this one. This comes from Angela Vrolik. I'll write 50,000 words in November. They will not be pretty, suave, or good, but I will write. My plot will have holes, but I will write. My characters will get confused, but I will write. I think that's pretty much the NaNoWriMo recipe.
Yeah.
Somebody's pledging off of Rachel Maddow for the month.
All right.
That's similar to mine too. You got to minimize distractions and think about pockets of your life where you can save time.
Shelby Lewis says, I promise to attempt to write the roughest to ever rough first draft of a novel and not indulge in my comfort zone of looking back and editing until my beginning, middle, and end have been completed.
That's great. I'll say this one Joyce Carol Oates quote that I love is that you don't know the first line of your novel until you've written the last line. So save that editing for later, because you don't really know what the beginning's going to be until you reach the end.
I definitely used to fall into that trap of, I was like, everything has to be perfect. And then I would get to the end and be like, oh, I'm
Me too.
Totally redoing this all anyways. So.
I bet I spent a year or two on a first chapter of a novel at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Write rather than watch YouTube. Give son to husband. Good for you, Emily Reading. Get help from other people to help you.
Definitely. The zombie man says, I solemnly swear to remove my backspace key on November 1st and not replace it until December.
Yeah.
I have seen people put like stickers or something over their keys.
Is that right?
Yeah. I don't know that I would do it, but I have seen people do that.
Do what works for you. Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, Sarah Clement says, I will finish it and won't get frustrated when I get stuck. I'll move on.
That's a really good point, because I think, when somebody mentioned ending the novel, this is actually some advice for Chris, from Chris and No Plot, No Problem, is that, summarize scenes if you need to, or skip over the tough parts just to keep things moving, and just reaching that end climax, then you can kind of stitch it all together later if you want.
Yeah.
That's really important.
A lot of the agreement that I wrote for myself was a lot about not feeling frustrated, because I think, especially for me, sometimes I'll be going through it and be like, oh, this isn't good enough, or this isn't original enough, and it's like, that's okay.
It's okay, definitely. I had Cosmo writer, I pledged to sell my soul to the writing devil. If you're going to deal with the devil, that's the best one to deal with. Alicia Kutranza says, tell my friends and family to create a support system. I think that's really important. I know people who even cook their dinners ahead of time and will put them in the freezers. They'll really strategically think about how they can map the month.
That is really, really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I definitely, anytime I cook, it's always a huge batch of something, because I was like, I just want to have this as leftovers.
Last thing I want to do is spend an hour on dinner that could be used for writing.
Right.
Yeah. Here's one good from Daniel Escherich. I pledge not to be distracted by technology during the month of November, prioritizing my writing journey and not the relaxation trap of everyday life.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
I actually, so when I write, I handwrite pretty much all my first drafts in an actual journal. And part of that is because if you're on the computer, it's just so easy to be like, oh, I have to just look up this one thing. And then all of a sudden you fall into a black hole of Wikipedia.
Exactly. I can't believe how many times I'm stuck in a novel and the first thing I turn to is Google, like instead of my imagination.
Right. Oh, Dark Deluxeful asked the question, what if you can't figure out what you want to write about? Do you have any tips for that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that means the topic for a novel, or just the getting stuck while writing it. I mean, we actually did this great exercise yesterday as a staff where I'm forgetting the name of the forum. It was what was the name of the forum?
Well, we used a couple of forums. We did the Appalachian Station.
Right. Appalachian Station, and then the Adoption.
Oh, yeah, the Adoption Society.
Adoption Society. So people drop a lot of ideas that they're just giving out. And so we did some exercises, just some writing prompts or word sprints around some of those. And it was amazing because I think we all came up with pretty good novel ideas.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
just on the fly. So I do think that, I always say that if people are deciding between 2 or 3 different novels ideas, to just really focus on the one that's calling you, that you feel an urgency to write. Don't think about, this is not going to sell, or it's not going to get published, or my friends aren't going to like it. Just do it for you. Write that story.
Yeah, and I think if you're having trouble sort of coming up with any ideas in the first place, that is good. It's using the resources and getting other people's help. One of our staff members is writing. We talked about the novels that we're going to write, and she's writing a novel this November that she wanted to crowdsource from us, ideas of characters. Which is a lot of fun. So
go browse in a bookstore for an hour and sit in a cafe and eavesdrop on people's conversations. I bet you'll have a novel idea by the end of it.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know, this is kind of we've been sort of celebrating a bring your own writing buddy this week, where we're just encouraging you guys to reach out to your friends who are writers or have expressed interest in writing, or somebody that you've been trying to get to write with you for a while, and just tell them to try it out with you this year, because it can be really helpful to have that community, or reach out to people on the forums or whatever works for you.
Stella W says the Blobby painting is great, and so I just want to point out that Catherine painted that Blobby painting.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
And the person who needs an idea for a novel, maybe a novel about Blobby.
Definitely.
Why not? He's led an adventurous life here.
Yeah.
He's seen a lot.
Yeah. I definitely want to read novels about Blobby.
Yeah. There should be a whole section in the bookstore, the Blobby section.
Definitely.
Blobby urban fantasy.
It would be so great.
Cool.
All right.
I saw a teacher who's doing it and is pumped up to do it. So thank you for teaching NaNoWriMo. That's part of our Young Writers program. For people who don't know, about 100,000 kids and teens are going to sign up, which is amazing to me because it wasn't available when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I never heard of anyone saying they were going to write a novel, and it just amazes me that so many teens are doing it, kids.
I mean, I found out about NaNoWriMo in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend who was doing it, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
So I looked it up, and then
You did it in high school?
I did. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Well, I attempted it. I didn't win. I didn't get to 50,000.
You did it.
But I tried.
Yeah.
That was the important part.
Cool. Daniel Alvarez asks, how can I start a region in Bogota, Colombia? I'll guide you to the our webpage for Municipal Liaisons, Daniel, and it'll tell you about setting up regions.
Here, I will drop that link in right now.
Thank you, Iverny and I, who says the kids' writing resources on the Nano site are great. They're actually good for adults too, and the workbooks on the Young Writers Program site are free. You can download them. Everything we do is free, and so yeah, check them out. They've got a lot of great writing exercises in there, and prepping exercises in particular. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tia offers good advice to Daniel. Just start scheduling meetups and posting them on the forums. Start small and work your way up. If you build it, they will come. I like that, Tia. It's one of my favorite sayings.
That's great. I see a lot of people talking about like inspiration boards as well. Maya B says, Pinterest has been my best friend recently.
Any tips for having a void in the middle of your novel outline? Helena A asks this. I'm going to say, this is kind of weird, but I'm just going to say not to worry about it. I mean, part of the premise of No Plot, No Problem, I mean, this is a funny title, but I do think that so much of your story will come to you while you're writing it. And so if you don't figure out that plot in the middle of your outline, just don't worry about it too much and trust that it will come to you while you're writing. And even if it doesn't come to you in this first draft, keep going beyond that, and it might come in the editing.
I think it's one of those things that happens when people say like, oh, my characters did this thing that I didn't expect. And that actually does happen.
Exactly. I love those moments where they're like, people are like, my novel's gone off the rails. My characters have taken it over. They're just doing things.
Right.
That's what you want.
And I think the other thing about that too is sometimes, I know for me, sometimes I'm like, oh, well, I have to get from point A to point B. And I kind of do this long slog in the middle. And if I'm not interested in writing it, then people probably aren't going to be interested in reading it. So like, just write about something that interests you, that you're, excited about or curious about, and just drop that in your novel.
Exactly. There's a Robert Frost quote that I love. He says, no surprise in the writer, no surprise in the reader. So allow yourself to be surprised by your writing. That's some of the best writing occurs in those moments.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, let me see. So Elizabeth Corbett says, and as for plot holes, Stephen King doesn't set out with a plot. He lets the characters take over. His book on writing, Elizabeth points it out, is really good. And I like it too because, you'd think that Stephen King just writes these masterful outlines, but he doesn't. He writes, he says he writes about just situations and then he tries to, make them super scary and horrific, which applies to any genre.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, I think we can answer some of these questions too a little bit later. But we wanted to do one more writing exercise, kind of while we're all here and thinking about writing and how to really get into that headspace and make that time for yourself. So the next writing exercise, I saw somebody earlier when we were kind of talking about what you wrote in your writing agreements, and somebody said that they weren't going to listen to their inner editor. And so if you're kind of not familiar with that concept, we kind of propose the inner editor as this, I don't know, something inside of you that thinks like, oh, this isn't good enough. I need to fix it now. And part of November is sort of shutting that voice out and not listening to it and thinking like, this isn't perfect, but I'm going to do it anyway. But it can be really helpful to actually visualize that rather than just saying, oh yeah, I need to not listen to this voice in my head. Kind of personifying that and thinking, okay, what would this inner editor look like? And this is actually an exercise that comes from the Young Writers Program workbooks. Again, one of those free workbooks that we offer on the Young Writers Program. And we have a PDF that I'm going to drop in here too that has a bunch of these exercises. So this exercise is just we're going to write for 10 minutes and really describe what your inner editor looks like. It could be, like a person chasing after you with a ruler and a dictionary, or it could be a monster that's devouring your word count, or, anything. Just describe it. And then describe how you're going to defeat it this November, or lock it away, or just make it so that it can't interfere with your writing. And I think really visualizing that sometimes really, really helps.
Yeah. I always think of an inner editor too. For me, there are voices in my head, like naysayers I've encountered in my life. Maybe a teacher who said something overly critical, or a person who read a story of mine and said something hurtful. So I always think like the inner editor bleeds into a certain type of creativity wound that diminishes our belief in our stories. So I think you can extend it to, into experiences you've had that hold you back from being creative.
Yeah. And also remember that these prompts are totally optional. So if it doesn't work for you, you don't have to do it. But I think, it's a jumping off point.
Yeah. You can spend 10 minutes filling in that middle outline problem if you want. That might be your inner editor actually right there.
All right, so we're going to write for 10 minutes, and I'm going to start the timer now. Got about 2 minutes left. All right, time's up.
Cool. I hear the cries of many inner editors around the world being banished. That's good.
Yeah. In the chat, if you want to tell us what your inner editor looks like or what you do to banish your inner editor, I would love to hear that.
I was reading some people were posting while we were actually writing. Let's see. Talia Wren says, my inner editor is the me I imagine myself to be as a successful published author. Dear me in the future, I have to be the me in the present without editing so I can become you in the future.
I like that.
Yeah, good one. Good one.
What does your inner editor look like, Grant?
My inner editor, I didn't visualize the inner editor, but I just chose three traits. Like what happens to me, or is happening to me this year, is like I'm having a hard time choosing the novel I want to write because I think none of them are good enough, meaning that I think I'll just lose interest and won't want to finish it and feel like it's all a waste of time. And this is like, if you were to tell me this right now, I would give you a big lecture about why your idea is good enough and why you have to test it on the page. And even if you write a whole novel and decide it's not good enough, you don't waste time when you're writing. You know, you have to write the novel. It's only a month,
right?
You know, I mean, sometimes that's one of the benefits of NaNoWriMo for me, is to test an idea and see if I like it and see if I want to keep writing it.
Yeah.
And then the second one is just I think one of the biggest problems I have is my inner editor is a neat freak and doesn't like mess.
Oh yeah.
My house is messy, but on the page I like things to be neat.
Okay.
And so I have a hard time just accepting the mess on the page.
Interesting.
You know, so I really need to tell the inner editor. Yeah.
We were talking about this the other day about procrastinating.
Oh yeah.
When you procrastinate writing your novel by cleaning. So I wonder if it's like a form of procrastinating where you're like cleaning up the page.
That's a good point. I think when I used to write that first chapter over and over and over again, it was like I just needed to be so tidy before I could move on.
Right.
So yeah. And then I think like the biggest hazard for me, and I should have put this in my contract, is the middle of November, that muddy middle. And so I think that's when my inner editor really like rears up and starts yelling at me and snarling. And so I just got to be very attuned to that moment and, you know, say, it's only the middle. It's only a week or two. Get out of here. Get out of here. Thank you for asking. How about you, Catherine?
So so as you know, some of you may know, I'm also a dancer. I've studied ballet my entire life. And for me, I was linking kind of this like structure, perfection, polish, and elegance. It's like those are the things that you're kind of going for when you're performing on stage. And
But not NaNoWriMo.
Right, but I think
joking.
no, but I think for me it's like I sometimes approach writing that same way. It's like, oh, it must be polished and elegant right now.
Right.
And like, you know, it would be silly to for somebody to come up to me and be like, hey, you need to perform on stage tonight.
Yeah.
Like, and it needs to be perfect.
Polished and perfect.
And so it's like remembering like, oh, this novel that I'm writing isn't me like performing on stage after months and months of rehearsal. This is the first rehearsal. This is like me in my ratty warm-up clothes, like getting to know everybody else in the company and like rolling around on the floor.
Yeah,
you know?
exploring the...
So
I think we all need to take like finger painting breaks when you have those like don't like messiness, you know?
Oh,
just
yeah.
Get out the paint and just go for it. Because that's kind of what writing this novel is like in a way.
Right.
Let's read some more responses here.
Oh, I like this side of perfect says my inner editor is Roz from Monsters Inc. And I silence her with holographic duct tape.
Look, we have several pop culture references. This Ollie Field wife says my inner editor. When I picture her, I see Estelle, Joy's agent on Friends. So,
I like Becca Gala says my inner editor is Meryl Streep in a la Devil Wears Prada.
Oh yeah,
she's shrewd, calculating perfection. She's there when I'm ready to be torn down and built back up.
That is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Christiana 2 says my inner editor isn't bad. He's just bossy. That's all. He doesn't let my childhood self imagine like she wants and ramble on in no direction for hours like she used to. This November, she will. Yeah, good one.
Let's see. Oh, Valerie McGrath says, my inner editor is a middle-aged bearded man who looks at me over his reading glasses as I write. He will clear his throat and ask if that's really what I want to put down on paper.
No, I think that's... How did I get to be an inner editor? I don't want to be that way. I apologize if anything I said. Somebody said Blobby was an inner editor as well. So
that's kind of a nice inner editor.
Why is Catherine not anyone's inner editor? That's what I want to know.
And sneaky. Maybe I'm the sneaky inner editor.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm my own inner editor.
Trust me, I want you to go crazy on the page.
I think Helena A said that she managed to write almost 600 words about her inner editor of all things. So that's awesome.
Stella W says, my inner editor is like the rails on a bridge. The bridge is the path that everyone takes. I swear to make my own hole in the rails and to jump with my characters in tow. The story will come. That reminds me of the Ray Bradbury quote where he says, jump and build your wings on the way down, or grow your wings on the way down. Anyway, trust that you will have wings.
That's awesome. Somebody said their inner editor is like a fog, which I really like that.
That's a good metaphor.
Visualization.
Definitely. Not a beast, but just a fog. Yeah. Yeah, I describe my inner editor as like this niggling whisper. You know, it's not necessarily a loud voice, but it's a whisper that's always there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a band I like to listen to called Frightened Rabbit, and they have a song called The Grays, which is, it's not the blues, but it's the Grays. It's like, you know, not as big and like, you know.
I like that.
It's not as big as the blues. It's just the Grays. It's,
you know, kind of very relevant. Most of us are more in the Grays, probably. Olivia Simmons says my inner editor is just my mom's voice. And I think, I don't know who your mom is, Olivia. I hope she's become or will become more encouraging, but I think we all have those voices that we've experienced where for whatever reason, they diminish us. Yeah. Or can. Shannon Robinson pointed out that Emily Robinson only wanted to write for herself, and I think that that's a really good strategy to banish your inner editor.
Emily Dickinson?
Shannon said Emily Bronte.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And that she wasn't, I think that I don't know much about Emily Bronte, but I think what that means is that she didn't really care what people thought. It was really about her story, and she was only writing it for herself. And sometimes that's the best way for me to kind of get beyond the inner editor. To say, this matters to me. And so I don't care what anyone thinks about it.
ZZ said that their inner editor is the Hamburglar who sees a passage I like and says, but what if you subconsciously plagiarized that from something you read in 2002? Yeah. I think I definitely get that sometimes when I'll like watch or read something that I had never encountered before, but it was around,
I
you know,
know.
years ago. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of my idea. But
Yeah.
I never, you know, read this, so I don't know where I got it, but
I honestly think that even if you did subconsciously plagiarize something from the past, you will put your new voice on it. You will make it unique. Like I think that there aren't really any original ideas in the world. Every story's been told. Different people have been said that. So don't worry about it being that somebody else has done it.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if you write it, you'll put a new spin on it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Keep them coming, people. Here's an interesting one. Marjan's creative character says, "Let loose, my inner editor can cause hours of procrastinating." Yeah, it's interesting how the inner editor can take different forms of kind of shutting you down.
Yeah. Well, like this, Kim Mitchell says, mine is a frail librarian type with a mousy voice. She scribbles in a leather-bound notebook all the things wrong with what she's reading from me.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. That's a good one.
Yeah. Cool. Well, these are all great.
Yeah.
I enjoyed writing that, and I really enjoyed reading these.
Some people fix their inner editor with ice cream. So
Oh,
that sounds like a pretty good technique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worth a shot, at
Cynthia
least, right?
Clement. Yeah, give it a shot. If in doubt, try ice cream.
Cool. Yeah. And if we have, I don't know, about 10, 15 more minutes left. So if you guys have any other questions, we'd love to answer some questions. We got a couple on Twitter yesterday that I thought would be kind of fun to address. So on Twitter, both M. Natalia and Kaylee asked about plotting. So M. Natalia said, how do you not only plan your main plot, but your subplots as well? And Kaylee asked, how do you plot? Because I have no idea how to do that. And I know that's I know a lot of things that you guys have been wondering too. It's just like, how do you form that structure?
How do you do it, Catherine? Tell me. Catherine has special tips on plotting, right?
Maybe.
We've never told them they're secret. And they're going to solve all of your plotting problems right now.
Actually, well,
am I overselling
it? Maybe a little. We did. I'm going to drop a link in here. So we did make a video a couple weeks ago that has 3 different ways that you can plot. Because the thing about it is, like, not just one way of plotting works for everybody. There is no like magical. This is how you make a plot. But yeah, we made a video with just 3 different writing tips, or plotting tips. So it's, you know, you can do something as sort of basic and simple as like the plot roller coaster, you know, where you start out with like an inciting incident and then the climax and then the resolution. There's also kind of the plot dot method where you come up with the different points of sort of contention and resolution within your novel. And there's another one that I'm not remembering at the moment, but
it's on the video.
The video is there.
Yeah.
So,
and I was going to say, for some of you, it's your first time doing NaNoWriMo. We have 2 sayings, or that some people pants their novel, meaning they don't plot at all. They just start and they write it. Some people plot their novel, and then some people are in the middle. They plants it. And I say this just because don't feel like you have to write an outline or have everything figured out ahead of time. Yeah. The main thing is to write and not to let things get in your way of writing. And the interesting thing I find about this question is, I have to say, this probably speaks to who I am as a writer, but I don't even think of subplots when I'm even if I'm planning a novel, and I'm a plantser. I'm somewhere in the middle, veering towards pantser. But for me, the subplots are way too intricate, way too deep in the story. And I just want to get the main storyline out. And then I think in that act of writing, the subplots will sort of be there, and I might recognize them when I'm revising afterwards. And what I do actually is sometimes do my outline after the first draft to see where the gaps are and see how the story works. Yeah. So yeah, like Catherine said, there's probably a million ways to do this. So just don't get hung up. I mean, NaNoWriMo is a creative experiment. That's how it started. Yeah. And so I think you should just trust in experimenting and finding your way.
Yeah, explore something and find what works for you.
Yeah.
I just, real quick, so Fitz asked if we're going to archive this video, and we definitely are. It'll be available at this URL afterwards, so you won't be able to add to the chat, although the chat will be running alongside if you watch it later. But you can post things in the comments. We read those, so if you have questions or ideas for other videos or things that you want to see, you can post them there. And if you want notifications when we have new videos too. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. There should be, I think, in the bottom right-hand corner of this video, there should be a little sort of NaNoWriMo Shield logo, and you can just click on that and subscribe to our channel. So yeah, so
Cool.
it will be available later.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Another question here?
Oh yeah, so we had another question from Torin Shaw on Twitter that said, what tactics are good at overcoming writer's block? They had one trick to try that was several like chats between characters, so they could talk to each other about things, even if it doesn't make into the book, which I think is a really good method. But do you have any, Grant?
I do. I think like one of the things we do in NaNoWriMo all the time is a word sprint, and I've led hundreds of word sprints, and I'll give a prompt, and it'll be a 5 or 10 minute sprint. And in all these hundreds of word sprints, I've never seen someone not write. And so this helps me. Like, I don't truly believe in writer's block unless you're experiencing some trauma or depression. I think those are different than writer's blocks, though. So I think it's amazing what's in your mind. And if you just create a pathway for it to come out, words will appear on the page. And I'd like to like also reference this exercise that Ray Bradbury did, where when he first started writing, and he developed several novels this way, he wrote down 20 nouns, just just really quickly, not thinking about it, and they wrote little tiny essays about each noun. And when I say tiny, I mean like 100 words, just some sketches. And then he kind of viewed that as the mulch that a story would just kind of come from that. And that's how he wrote Something Wicked This Way Comes. With that. Okay. Yeah. So I think that there are a lot of different ways that you can kind of just get your mind thinking and moving. And sometimes you just need to get up and move away from the computer and take a walk. That was actually in my NaNoWriMo agreement, is to take walks. So
yeah, important.
Yeah. How about you, Catherine? Have you ever had a writer's block?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah. You dispel my whole theory about them not existing.
I mean, it's difficult. It's like, it's, what do you call it? I think we all have those moments when it becomes more difficult to write, and whether that's writer's block or whether it's something else, it's it can be helpful to call it writer's block, or it can
my definition,
or it can be
exactly.
Not helpful to call it writer's block.
Exactly.
So for me, what usually helps is, like, sometimes I just feel like I'm sort of beating my head against a wall, like I can't see a way through. So I try to work on something else for a little bit, either a different writing project or another creative project, something that keeps engaging my creative brain, but on a different topic or subject. So a lot of times when that happens, it's like I'll be thinking about something else and be like, oh yeah, maybe this could happen here. Oh, that's how I get through that.
I think that's great advice. Yeah. Shake it up. Let's see. Let's read some of these comments.
Yeah.
We're talking about some writing software.
Oh yeah, and I did drop a link you can create your own word sprints on the NaNoWriMo site. So I dropped a link there. You can also invite buddies to sprint with you. We also have a Twitter account entirely dedicated to doing word sprints.
Good point. Round the clock.
Yeah. Round the clock throughout November. It's at Nano Word Sprints. So you can follow them, and just anytime you're feeling stuck, you can go there, and they'll be doing lots of activities.
Tia Kala points out that to check out the Adoption Society forum, which we mentioned earlier. People leave plot ideas for others to use. They're also great prompts for word sprints, as we discovered yesterday.
Somebody asked if we speak a little French, which is totally off topic. But the answer is I took French in high school and can basically...
Je parle un peu de français.
But
Je m'appelle Grand.
Je m'appelle Catherine.
Should we do the rest in French?
Yeah.
We love French.
But funny,
Pamplemousse, in fact, is my favorite word.
It's a great word.
Yeah.
I did, however, learn French in high school in Alabama, so I'm pretty sure I speak it with an American Southern accent. So I usually don't, if I can help it.
Don't invalidate your French, Catherine. That's a perfectly good way to do it.
Oh, Megan H says, what do you do when you find out you have a major research paper / project the same month as Nano? That's tough. I think
we are going to have a time management webcast on Monday.
Yeah.
So if you want to do, I mean, it is hard. All of us are busy, I
Mhm.
think. And so it is tough to fit in 50,000 words of writing.
Definitely.
So I think like developing those time choices really,
Yeah.
and time strategy is what it comes down to. So
Yeah.
tune in on Monday.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a great reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monday we will be having that. So
We're talking to a time management guru, a really wise person, Laura Vander Kam.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like that's a question that a lot of people have.
Yeah. Well, any other questions rolling in? I'll go back to the bottom here.
Yeah. Oh,
I like this one. Bats Rule says I create a schedule before Nano starts because then I know exactly what I need to do and when. I think that's
awesome.
really a key to success. That's what I'm trying to do too, is block off periods of time, and also trying to write when I usually don't write, which is the evenings, because I know I need more time than usual.
Well, because you get up really early and write.
Get up early and write, but I feel like I need minimum 2 hours a day to write 50,000 words. So
yeah,
gonna need to do more. And
also, I think it's helpful to remember too that the time management strategies that work for some people don't work for others. Because we were having this discussion yesterday. Like my brain just does not work creatively in the morning.
Yeah.
Like it takes it a while to get going. So like I couldn't get up at 5 a.m. and write because that just everything in my life would fall apart.
Yeah.
But
my wife can't either, but she can write long into the night.
Oh yeah.
When I cannot do it at all.
Yeah, so. Like 1 a.m. is sort of like ideal writing time.
Yeah. So find the writing time that works for you. That's one strategy, and take full advantage of it.
Becca Gala says sticky notes everywhere.
Yeah. I feel like sticky notes were probably invented with novelists in mind.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Mary Emma says, I like getting places 10 to 15 minutes early and spend that time writing. That's pretty, that's a good way to do it.
That is a good way. Hugh Howey, who wrote his novel Wool and other things during NaNoWriMo, when he got super busy and was speaking at conferences all around the world, he'd be writing in airports, he'd be writing while standing in line. He was using every little minute to do it. And he said that's what NaNoWriMo taught him, is how to use his time really effectively for writing. So
that's really neat.
Yeah. Just Me says, how do I get my parents to accept my writing time? I think I'd have to know more, but I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I think that's a difficult one because obviously everybody's parents are different. But I think for me, what helped with that when I was trying to do it when I was in high school was just making it clear to your parents that this is something that's really important to you. It's saying that it's not only is it something that it's important to you, but something that's going to help you in other aspects of your life. Because it'll definitely help you with school. That's what a lot of our young writers have found. And
we have so many young writers who say that after they write a novel during NaNoWriMo, doing a research paper is easy.
Yeah.
So it helps you in many different forms of writing. And what else was I going to say? We've heard from people who people have put that they've done NaNoWriMo in their college essays or their college applications. They've gotten into college as a result. I mean, there are a lot of benefits to it.
Yeah.
And if they still don't accept it, then I would just write with a flashlight under the covers or something. Just do it. There've been plenty of renegade writers in the world.
Cool. Oh man, this has been such a great conversation. I feel really psyched about working on my novel. We're almost we are at a time though. It's 2 p.m. here. So this has been really great. I hope it was really helpful for you all as well. We'll be doing more of these virtual write-ins. We've actually got a pretty packed schedule for November so far. We're going to have some YouTube guides who are going to be creating some short videos and leading write-ins. We have our next webcast on Monday about time management.
Next week we're calling Time Hunt Week. So it's all about like you thinking about how to make time for your writing in November and coming up with a strategy. As Catherine mentioned, we have a bunch of things that we're doing in the NaNoWriMo offices here. And then we're also doing a whole week of webcasts with Creative Live, the week of the 22nd, that Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we'll post those times actually later today. They're making the website right now, but we're talking with several NaNoWriMo published authors and getting their tips. So it'll be Sophie Littlefield, Rachel Herron, Aya De Leon, and Jenny Nash. So yeah.
A lot of cool stuff coming up.
Yeah. And I want to thank Dropbox Paper again. There cannot be enough writing tools in the world. And so I hope you all experiment with it. See if it works for you, both as a novelist and maybe beyond that. So thanks, Dropbox.
Yeah, and I think it's supposed to be really good for collaborating with people too. So if you're, I don't know, I tried this last year and for NaNoWriMo, it was a lot of fun, but writing a novel with someone. So if you want to try that out,
I want to do that.
Check out Dropbox Paper.
Yeah. But thanks so much for joining us. So like Catherine said, this is like always invigorating to hear all of your stories. And I actually wish all the chat was like in the room here, that we had some big hall where we could actually sit and talk, and instead of seeing the chat scroll by so quickly. Yeah. Thank you for thanking us, Cecilia Rouse.
Bye, everyone. See you later.